Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me today. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint an ocean wave. We'll try to keep it simple for beginners. I've got my husband Mark with me today.
Hey there, everybody.
He's going to be man in chat during our live show, so if you've got any questions, you can post those while we're painting, and hopefully we'll be able to answer them. So let's get started. Okay, so I found this reference photo off of a royalty-free website and really liked the angle of it because a lot of times you see the waves, they're kind of coming straight on. I loved how this one was kind of set diagonally on the canvas. And I decided to go ahead and do it on an 8 by 16 inch Fredrix board here, just because it's kind of it's pretty long. So I thought we'd get the most out of our wave if we do it on a long board. So really any board that is kind of twice as long as it is high will work for you. Let's set that aside. And thanks to Fredrix for sponsoring our canvases. They sent us these. They're not paying us for their endorsement or anything, but they did generously surprise us with canvases. So I'm really enjoying them. Okay, let's go over our brushes really quick. And these are all Princeton brushes. I've got a number 8 flat filbert, a number 6 filbert, and a number 4 filbert in the 6100 series. And then I've got a couple of small round brushes. I've got a number 2 and a number 2/0. And then I've got a few brushes that I'm not 100% sure we're going to need, but we'll see if we need them as we go. I've got a 3/8 inch angle and a number 6 filbert in case we need a smaller filbert for some other details. And then a 1/2 inch filbert grainier, which is kind of like a rake or a comb brush. It's got some bristles missing at the top, so it'll make some streaks for us, possibly up in here. I'm not sure if we'll use that or if we'll use a fan brush. This is a bristle fan number 2. And then I've got a couple of brushes for our whitewash. These are Deerfoot stipplers, and this one is a Willows blender. This one's 3/8 inch, 3/8 inch, and 5/8 inch. So we'll just see what we end up using. I haven't done the examples yet. So.
There'll be a test later on, too.
There'll be a test on which ones we did use.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good. All right, I'm going to start with the large brush. This is the number 8 filbert. If you don't have one, you can use a large, bright, flat brush.
And if you can tell, she's got white, yellow, other yellow, red, blue, green, blue, turquoise blue, blue, and another color.
Let me turn that off because there was a glare. Yeah. Good guesses. Pretty much all of the green blues are out here. So we've got unbleached titanium, titanium white. This is cadmium yellow light in case we need some yellows. We've got some yellow oxide, some burnt sienna to darken up and kind of neutralize some of our blues. And then we've got phthalo green blue shade this time. I usually use yellow shade, but if you don't have the blue shade, just add a little bit of blue to your phthalo green yellow shade, and it'll create this kind of more blue shade. This is turquoise, phthalo turquoise, teal, turquoise, phthalo blue, green shade. Boy, these are hard to say. So to get turquoise, you would mix these two. You'd mix a phthalo green and a phthalo blue to get this turquoise, and then just add white to get the teal. So if you don't have all of these colors, you can still mix them. I'm just putting them out to save me some time mixing. Then I've got light ultramarine blue and ultramarine blue. This is just ultramarine blue plus white that's already mixed together. And then this is Doxazine purple. All right, that was a mouthful. And then we've got some acrylic glazing liquid just so we can do some blending if we need to. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start out, and let's go ahead and sketch out our waves just to kind of get an idea of where we want to start and stop. So we're going to go way up high here, and the first waves are going to be kind of coming up and over like this. And you'll notice through this whole thing, we've got these waves coming in this way. So they're all of the lines are going to be kind of coming in horizontally, and these are going to be very, very small and close together because they're farther away.
Yeah, we can't see those.
You can't see because I'm doing it too lightly.
Let me zoom in a little bit, maybe. Okay, well, there's...
Okay. So these are all going to be fairly horizontal, just slightly diagonal but for the most part, they're going to be kind of horizontal. And then these, as they get up to here, they're going to kind of crest and then quickly slope down. So these ones are going to slope up this way on a diagonal, and when they meet together, they're creating these waves. So we're going to do some diagonal lines this way, curving up into our waves, and as they get to the wave itself, it's going to actually curve quite steeply up like this. I'm trying not to do them too dark, but I guess I should. Okay. Right now I'm just kind of giving myself the direction of these waves so that I sort of know how to put in my brush strokes here. I'm not worried about the whitewash or anything yet.
Is it important that the chalk is blue?
No.
Okay.
I mean, the blue will just kind of help it blend into. If it's a real obvious color, it could take a little bit to cover it up.
Okay.
So that's one reason why I selected blue. Okay, so then we've left this kind of diagonal. We've got this big whitewash that starts about a quarter of the way down and kind of billows out like this and down. And there's some highlights in it, right in there. And then we've got the top of the wave right here that kind of angles up this way. And there's a couple of places where it kind of crests. This part slopes down, back up, down, and then there's a bunch of whitewash here. There's a little bit of the back side of that wave there that kind of goes in there, and then all of this is sort of whitewash up here, and then there's the wave section right here that's sort of coming down. This is coming this way. This is the foam that's being stirred up by it, and then this is sort of where it's meeting the upswing of these waves, of this tide or whatever.
Man, I'm glad you're doing this one.
Why?
Not me. The houses were hard enough.
I think this one was probably easier than those houses were, honestly.
If you say so.
All right, so as long as you get this motion, the motion of these waves right, I'll show you the colors to use, but I think it's going to be fairly simple. I'm going to try to keep it simple. So I'm going to use some of that turquoise color and a little bit of the burnt sienna. And as the waves get farther away, they get kind of more desaturated. The farther away they get, the closer up, they're going to be more saturated, vibrant colors. So we'll just go ahead and kind of neutralize it with a little bit of that burnt sienna for these farther back waves. And for right now, I'm not going to worry too much about the actual waves. I'm just going to kind of lay in this color side to side and try to cover some of this canvas up. Let's go ahead and grab some ultramarine blue and add that. That's it. I like that color better, actually. And I'm just going to use those lines that I drew as sort of a reference. Keep these very shallow. And I'm using the edge of my brush, not the flat side. So it's kind of creating some lines in the water there. Ultramarine blue, a little bit of burnt sienna. Yeah, that's a good color. And we're going to put down our darkest values, and then we'll add some highlight colors on top to kind of give it a little bit more of detail. Okay. See, I'm just kind of going really quickly, not worried about any one brush stroke too much, just kind of trying to make sure that they're all kind of sort of going in the same direction. You see how they're overlapping? Some of them are a little bit darker than others. That just depends on how much paint is in my brush or how hard I push down on the canvas. But as I kind of keep going back and forth over that same area, it'll create those sort of layers. What were you going to say? As I get towards the bottom here, I'm going to add some white to Go ahead, hon.
Like how you asked me a question and just
Well,
keep
then
on
I
talking.
realized I was going to change my color. Go ahead.
I was just going to say it reminds me of Subnautica.
Ooh, Mark's been playing. Yeah, his new.
Or maybe the coast of Oak Island.
Mark was doing the classic man thing today earlier. Just cracking me up.
Not asking for directions.
Not asking for directions. It's like, why don't you just Google that? It's just too easy.
I don't think they have Google on alien planets.
I think they should.
They should.
All right, gonna grab some yellow oxide, mix that with the green here and these other colors that are already in my brush. I'm just gonna bring in some of these greens as I get closer to the waves. Down here, they're getting quite light as they get down to this area, but I still am gonna have some darkish colors in there, so I want to go ahead and put those in, adding a little bit of white here. Going right up to those where that wave is supposed to start.
So we can say hi to everybody.
Yes, hi everybody. Hope you had a great weekend. So far? So far so good?
Yep. Thanks for joining the show. Sorry, I was distracted. A light was flashing there. I was trying to figure out what was going
That
on.
was you doing it.
Now I think it was burning out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's back.
Some yellow here. Go with a little bit brighter color. It's that yellow oxide mixed with some white. Or yellow, I'm sorry, yellow, cadmium yellow. Is welcome if you're new to our channel. We hope that you will stick around and subscribe and come back. We do these lessons usually twice a week. Right now we're taking a break on Tuesday nights, but we'll be back to do our regular schedule in April. So, grabbing some more yellow here and white.
And give it a like, thumbs up if you're
Yeah, hopefully.
subscribe to the channel if you're new. A couple hundred videos Angela has.
Yeah.
Mostly flowers. But
Flowers, some,
some birds.
birds, animals. We try to keep a variety of stuff.
Some
going on.
landscapes.
Some for beginners, some for more advanced. Kind of a little bit for everybody. A little bit of something for everybody here. Okay, so it's looking pretty good so far. We're definitely going to need some other blues up in here, but it's kind of starting to take shape. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that out so I have kind of fresher, cleaner colors for this wave area here. Because I want my more vibrant colors down in this area. Clean that out. And this brush seems to be working okay for me, but I think I'm going to switch to a little bit smaller brush since we've got a little bit more detail in this area. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the number 6 and see how that works. So I don't know why I just worried about cleaning that brush up, but that's all right. And I'm going to use the phthalo green, blue shade, and white here. Create a nice soft green.
So
I'm going to use that up in this whitewash area here. I'll probably add yellows to it, but this will be some of our... Go ahead.
when it comes to painting water, do you think that doing it kind of with a more looser, carefree style is better?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, I've seen artists who do, like draw it out really carefully and paint in every wave. I think that would be a little bit more time consuming. So I'm, trying to kind of keep it fairly simple in this one. This one's going to be realistic-ish, but not like, we're not going full on realism. I want it to definitely look like a wave, and I want it, but I'm, it's not going to look like you just stepped out and looked at the ocean here. So that's not what we're going for. We're going for more painterly type look today. So, which is easier, I think, for a beginner, painting. That's the reason why we're doing it that way.
Gotcha.
Yeah. All right, so this is definitely good color for right in here, this upper crest of the wave. I'm really not going to worry too much about my white areas because we'll come through and make sure that those get in there really, really well with. I'll grab some of that little bit darker green there. We'll come back through with our white and really put in all of our white caps later. Okay, just kind of slightly blending those out where they're meeting just a little bit right there. I'm coming down over the areas where I think those waves are going to be. And here again, following those lines that I drew for myself so that like right here, I'm kind of curving it down this way. And then as I come down here, I'm going to be curving it upward. Because those waves are coming up this way. Right? And these are coming down over the top.
Now, if somebody's not comfortable with drawing,
yes,
what kind of help do you give them? Come on, you got to let me finish the question.
Sorry.
We got to pretend like we're not married here. Okay. So, hey, if somebody's not comfortable in drawing, what kind of help could you give them?
Good question.
Thank you.
Let me think on that. We do have traceables for them. So if we don't like to draw, I will have this all traced out. I usually wait and let it dry after the show, and then I trace it out directly from the finished painting so you have an exact copy of what I've painted, and post that on my Patreon page. So for patrons, it's $1 a month for all traceables, for access to any traceable from last February to current. So, all right, gonna grab some of this white. I've added a little bit of yellow to it. I'm going to use that. Add some highlights to this. Quite white. It's very, very close to white. It's not too much pigment in there. This is curving down.
Question, is the teal opaque?
Yes, it is, because it's got the white in it.
And Marty wants to know, will this painting be part of the splatter movement?
Absolutely. Got lots of good splatters coming. Really looking forward to that part. It's one of my favorite things about this one. The splattering. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be epic. All right. So I'm going to grab the turquoise now. I'm going to add some darker turquoise coming up down here. And I'm going to go ahead and grab some of that glazing liquid because that's just not wanting to flow off my brush very well. There we go. I'm not really worried too much about where they're meeting their streaks, because really, if you look at the image, a lot of this is going to be broken up with lines of foam. So we're just trying to kind of get the direction in here. And then we'll come through with some more colors on top, and it'll all sort of blend together. nicely. Hopefully, that's the goal at least. So we're going to go some nice dark color down in here, nice vivid deep turquoise down in here. The colors will be much more saturated as they get more saturated and more vivid as they get down closer to us. Let's grab some of that ultramarine blue. It's mixing with that teal turquoise color. We'll use some of that in here too. What you laughing at? I'm going to go ahead and kind of just create some lines.
Nothing. You don't need to know.
I don't need to know. Why would I say?
No, you didn't say anything.
Oh, okay.
Just messing with people's minds, that's all.
Ugh, stop doing that.
Well, one person's glad that they're not going crazy. So
Why?
there may or may not have been mood sounds in the background for a brief moment.
What sounds?
Mood.
Oh, gosh.
Just make them feel
I've
like
got some
they're
phthalo blue here.
at the beach.
Oh, I see. Nice.
Oh, I know the tone of that. Nice. She doesn't really mean nice there.
Yeah. No comment. Okay, I cannot see this. Turn it up.
So also down below is the description of all the stuff that Angela's using.
Yes.
Links to Amazon to purchase different art supplies and products. Links to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
All that good stuff.
Yeah, we kind of fell off the wagon the last couple weeks on the social media. We traveled last weekend,
Well,
so
we're on vacation.
get back into the swing.
I did white here too. These blues, really pretty much just got all the blues out here, and I'm just going to kind of create some transition between these two areas here a little bit. And then I'm going to add phthalo blue and white to this whitewash area. There's going to be a lot of this kind of color down in the shadows. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it all in here. We'll put the white on top. And let's add some of this in. This is phthalo blue with white. There's kind of a blending going on right there. Let me grab a little bit more of that darker color. I don't want to lose all of that.
Man, looks like you're just about done there.
I know, it comes together pretty quickly. Let's grab some purple. Add some really dark lines of purple in here. And let's add some up in here too. This is definitely the kind of ugly stage where you're kind of going to get to it and think you're doing something wrong, which is totally normal.
Or Mark's finished stage.
You just stopped. You didn't finish yours. That's the problem there.
Did we ship that out yet? Or
No, I forgot. I need to do that. No, we took off. Well, no, I had all of last week to do it. I just forgot. All right, grabbing some of that phthalo green or yellow oxide. I don't know why. Then I'm mixing it with these greens and blues down here, though. And I've got some of that unbleached titanium. And I'm using this brush right on its edge here, and I'm going to create some little waves back in here. And I'm doing kind of these they're kind of cupped brush strokes, so just slightly curved, but they're kind of overlapping almost like bricks, and that's what kind of creates that kind of soft look. You can do them straight too in some places, and then in other places where you want there to be a little bit more movement, you can create these kind of more curved brush strokes. Okay, so I'm going quickly, so I just wanted to stop and slow down there so you see what I'm actually doing. Okay. Let's grab some of that green. Add that with that unbleached titanium. The unbleached titanium just has a little bit of yellow in it, so it's not such a solid white. So it'll create a little bit softer blend, a little more of a yellow tone in our colors. I'm going to kind of do in the same areas generally, but I'm going to make sure that I leave just a little bit of that dark color, so I don't want to cover it up completely. So maybe pick a few areas where you want those kind of highlights to be, and leave a few little dark areas in there in between. I think I'm just going to stick with this bigger brush.
And that bigger brush is called what?
This is the number 6 filbert.
You probably said it, but I wasn't paying attention.
Well, I did when I first got it out, but it's been a while.
Yeah, well, I'll cover for everybody else in chat because they're not paying attention either.
Okay.
Hey, if you're new to the channel, you subscribed, join us in chat, can ask us any questions you want. I may or may not see it. And if I don't, the moderators will yell at me, and then I will see it. And we'll try to get on air.
Is that how it goes, pretty much?
Yeah.
I did a really bad job. You do a very good job of the chat. When I did the one time I did it, I did not answer I wasn't even paying attention.
Yeah, you're watching the tragedy unfold.
I was trying to help you, but it just wasn't. Okay, I've got the phthalo blue color here, and I'm adding some of that back in here. Yeah. I was trying to salvage what was happening, but it just wasn't gonna. Turquoise, white here. Ooh, that's pretty. What?
I just like how you talk to yourself.
I'm talking the colors.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to know what I need to do while I'm at work.
It's kind of like I do with the when I'm gardening too. I talk to the flowers. I'm like, oh, sorry. And I like, smush one or something. All right, so creating kind of some of these lines. If you look at our reference photo, there's these kind of long, sort of sweeping lines of color that are a little bit broken up by other colors, but we've got these dark areas in between and then these longer kind of light areas here. So that's what I'm kind of trying to get to right here. Sort of create some of these longer sweeping light areas coming in like this. And these are probably a little bit thick, but grab some of that, more of that phthalo blue.
Rose would like to know, what's the advantage of the filbert over another kind of brush?
The filbert has like a softer rounded edge, so you're going to get like softer waves with it. It won't be as harsh as the flat brush would be, especially if you use it flat side down. But I mean, really the way we're using it on its edge, you could use a flat brush and it won't really make that much of a difference. But especially if I was doing any kind of blending of the waves, anytime that brush stroke showed, it would have a soft rounded tip, and it's just a little bit better for water. And it works really well for clouds and skies too. It's just a really good kind of natural brush for using on landscapes in general. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to use the thinner brush. I think I'm just going to go ahead and leave these bigger brush strokes. I kind of like how they're looking, so. And I think it's a little bit easier too. Just make sure that you keep them very thin up here in this area if you can. If you wanted to go much more, super realistic, we could do the rake brush up in these areas and do some, I guess I could do some back up in here. Do some areas like this where you're seeing these thinner lines happening. Make sure you water down your paint really well. I'm going to not worry about that too much. All right, let's do a little bit of this darker phthalo green right in here, kind of coming where these waves are meeting in a peak right here. So pulling down. Do yellow and phthalo green here and the white to get that really pretty aqua. green color. A little bit more white right there. And then we're going to have very thin pieces of it. I'm just using my brush and very, very lightly. And I may go ahead and switch to my round here so I can get a little bit more detail. Pulling back with this color. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of it here. What?
Slide that towards me.
Okay, thank you. All right, a little bit of white. Pull back from this whitewash area here. Just a little bit of highlight. Remember, this area is kind of curving up and over. Grab a little bit of that turquoise color, the phthalo green. Pick it up and pull it over the top just a little bit. It's going to get a little bit darker just before this whitewash area. So I'm just wanting to put that in, just right in here, where it meets that whitewash. Okay. Getting pretty close. All right, let's go ahead and switch to the number 2 round here. I'm going to grab the ultramarine blue light here. The light ultramarine blue is just ultramarine blue that had white added to it. And we're going to add it in under here. This is where these are going to be fairly close together. I'm going to do these sweeping lines that kind of crisscross and overlap a little bit. They're all sort of going in that same direction. They're going to meet in some places. Like here, maybe do some V shapes. I'm going to put some of it in my whitewash over here. Actually, I'm going to grab my Deerfoot here, not adding any water to this, and I'm just going to splatter or stipple some of this color in my whitewash area. And this should fill in any gaps that you had in that color. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and stipple a little bit of it up in here. Some of the undersides of these whitewashed waves are going to have this color. So I'm just stippling a little bit of it. I have the color just on the tip of the brush, so I could control where it was going. All right, that's enough. I'm going to go right above those dark areas and add some of this color. And I'm just using the tip and sort of dragging it, but I'm holding it fairly far back so that I can create some sort of more organic lines. I don't have a real tight control over it. I'm just kind of letting the paintbrush drag and create lines, and I'm sort of doing them zigzag so that there's all these interesting little things that are happening when the brush changes direction. It'll create these little interesting bumps and lines and things. Just barely dragging the tip of the brush onto the canvas. That'll give you more interesting, natural looking lines than if you were, trying to control it really closely. I find. You may find that it's easier to hold it up closer, but okay. Doing a little bit of dark area underneath where those waves are cresting. Let's go ahead and grab some of the phthalo blue and mix that in with this. I'm going to add some white. It's not quite light enough. Phthalo blue, you'll find, is it's really hard to control sometimes. It really can take over because it's very, very strong tinting strength. So use it sparingly. When you're needing to add white to it, you probably have to add more white than any other color to get it to change value, because it's just so strong. So just keep that in mind while you're working with it. You may have to keep adding white and adding more white and more white until you get it light enough. There we go. It's getting there. So these are where the waves are cresting right there. So I'm just going to kind of create those little V shapes so I know where that ends. And some of these are coming down this way. If you find that your paint is breaking up on the canvas like this, just add a little bit of water to your brush. That will keep it from creating those little, dragging lines. I don't mind the texture in the canvas myself. I kind of like to use it some in my paintings, but if you're really trying, to avoid that, then it just means you need to add more water to your brush if you want more of a smooth looking surface. Right. I'm going to get more white, especially up in here where it's starting to curve. That's not quite where I wanted that. Darker down here. Grabbing some darker phthalo blue. I'm going to add some darker lines in here, in between some of those lighter colors. Kind of going in between some of those lighter colors I just put in. This is going to be lots of layers just to get it, get it to kind of where we want it. So let's add these lighter blue highlights up in here. The white. Mix with the phthalo blue. Boy, it's just squeegee off most of that color. There we go. If you get it too light in some places, what we can do is we can go back in and glaze over it. So don't worry too much about that right now. And you don't even really have to be too concerned about the color. We can always adjust the color with some glazing as well. So I'll try to draw in some of this foam that's sort of connecting to itself in here. These little circular shapes that are happening. They're not really circular, but they're these foam pieces are all kind of connecting to one another. Okay. Adding some white here. This area is quite large. Again, I'm holding my brush kind of far back on here so that I can get some softer, more natural looking brush strokes. Okay. Let's add some of the green color to this area. Mix that yellow or that green into my blue mixture there. Dragging it back and forth, just using the very tip of the brush. And there's a highlight that's running right through these waves all the way up to right about here. And another one right in here. Let's add more white. A little bit more white here. All right, grab some white, now straight white, and we're gonna just add a little bit of that on top of some of this foam to really brighten it up down in here. All right. Now let's start putting in some of our whitewash. So I'm going to start with kind of that off blue color. There's a lot of blue even in the whitewash area. So I'm going to use the 3/8 inch Willow blender. And you could use the tip of the Deerfoot stippler as well if you don't have this brush. I'm going to go right over the top of those shadow areas that I just put in a little bit ago. Tap with the tip down that has the brightest color. And if you don't have one of these specialty brushes, you could just use any kind of stiff bristled brush that you've got. So you can still get the same effect. These brushes just make it a little bit easier to get some of these effects more quickly. And these are all kind of running sort of horizontally. When they do break, they're kind of breaking in a V shape, like this one here. It's kind of doing this V shape. This one's sort of going straight across the top of this wave here, and this one's kind of splashing up.
Is this the Willow brush?
Yes. Tapping straight down. Yeah, this is a new brush that Princeton sent me to try out, and I really like it. Definitely different. It's a little bit smaller, a little bit more controlled than the Deerfoot stippler that I've been using for a long time.
And if somebody wants it, they can click on the link to the brush counts down below.
Yes.
Takes them to your list of recommended brushes and 5% off with the code Angela's Art.
Angela Fine Art.
Angela Fine Art.
You should know that by now. That's the name of my channel.
Yeah, whatever. Like I pay attention.
It's not.
Angela Art something. Fine Art. Art. Arting. Painterly.
Name, and it's got art in it somewhere. So that's
Angela's
all I know.
Painterly.
Don't confuse the issue. Okay. Tapping these out, kind of in this diagonal direction. Well, we're starting to take shape. It's looking good on camera. Let's get this one right here. Let's get some of these colors. So I'm going to pick up a little bit more of that blue, that sort of medium value blue. Tap that one in first, because this area right down here is actually pretty shadowed. So you're not really getting a real bright white down in here at all. I'm going to use a little bit more of that dark blue. Let's use some turquoise. And I'm going to go ahead and use some of this color up in here too. I'm seeing some of it up in this wave. Right up underneath some of that blue. You've got to have this contrast, especially when you're using these lighter colors like white, because you can just end up with a big white blob. That's what makes the, your wave, maybe if you've tried doing this before and it hasn't looked all that great, it may be because you don't have these contrasting colors with your white. So if you just put white straight on top of your wave, it would look flat. It look like that white's pasted on there. It doesn't look like it's part of it. So just if you really look, even these areas that are white are not actually fully white. There's all these other colors happening in there. That's what really will help make it look a little bit more realistic. If you kind of try to pull out some of those other colors in there and just save your bright white for just a few little spots. That's what gives it impact. Ooh, super chat.
She just looked over at me like, enough already.
I know.
Come on, it's been a week.
I know.
Hey, as a shout out to Laurel. Donation, no specific comment, but
Thank you, Laurel.
I'm going to summarize what everybody's been saying in chat. This is awesome.
Oh,
Looking great.
good.
No ugly stage here. And then a whole bunch of moos.
Moo. All right. I like it. I like it. Thank you, Laurel. All right, let's grab some teal. We haven't used that yet. So let's use that teal. I do see some teal down in here. So let's tap that in. Really, we've already used this, but not the pre-mixed color. But, it's pretty much all in a lot of what we've already done here. Because it's just the turquoise plus white. Grab a little bit of white here. I want to define this a little bit better, so I put that dark color back in there so I could kind of go back over and define this a little bit better. Grab a little bit of white here.
So the question was asked about the Willow Splendor that you're using.
Yes.
What is it like? Now, I responded, I have no idea.
It's firm.
Because I'm not allowed to touch it. So
That's
you'll
the
have to
truth.
explain. So you said it's firm?
It's firm. It's a synthetic. It feels like a hog bristle filament, but I don't think it is because it's firmer. It doesn't lose its shape when I add water to it, which hog bristle would do. So I don't think it is actually hog bristle. I think it's a synthetic hog bristle. That's my guess. But it handles like a hog bristle that's firm.
You rudely interrupted the cowbell.
Sorry.
I got one job.
Well, you didn't wait for me to answer my question.
Oh, I thought you had. Sorry.
No.
So maybe I really interrupted. This super chat brought to you by Shirley. Again, no special comment, but I think she liked the cowbell so much she wanted to hear it again.
Thank you, Shirley. Ooh, that's dark. That's all right. Actually, don't mind that. This is phthalo blue. I'm going to add some of that real dark up in here. Just in a couple spots. little bit of that turquoise color. Kind of lost some of my really darks that were down in here. Add those back in. Grab a little bit of purple and add that to it. Purple is one of the darkest colors that you can use for shadowing. It's almost the same darkness as black, this dioxazine purple. So it's a great color to add when you need a little bit of dark. I use it a lot for reds when I want to deepen up a red color, because then it doesn't turn it, you know, orange. You could use brown too, but I really like it. Okay, just adding a few really dark areas there. Let's add a couple of spots up in here too. Okay, almost there. It's only been an hour, not too bad. So I'm going to get my Deerfoot stippler out. There's this one, the 3/8 inch one, and some white. And I'm going to use the liquid titanium white. It'll be easier to splatter. I'm going to use a little bit of the unbleached titanium mixed with, I'll grab that white that I already had out. It'll just tone it down a little bit. I'll start with that down in here. And I always just load the very tip of the brush. You don't want it all the way back to the back, because otherwise you'll just get circles stuck on it. You know, you just end up getting circles. So I load up the tip and then I point it so that I'm angling it down facing the canvas. I'm going to stipple in.
I had to do a better job because I only got a 7 out of 10 last time. So,
They're grading you.
yeah. So, Ariana, and she says, I'm a ninja observer. I don't
Nice.
chat much, but love your work. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm having a fun
glad.
time.
I'm glad she came out of her hiding to say that.
Oh,
And we appreciate the super chat.
Yes, we do. Thank you, everybody, for your donations.
I watch a lot of, I lurk a lot on live shows too. I don't comment a whole lot, but I had a lot of them. I just don't. So I understand. Okay, grabbing some of that blue. Medial. Felt like there was too much difference between the bright and the light, so I'm trying to kind of create a balance here in this one. Grabbing some of that light ultramarine, kind of creating a transition between the shadow area and the highlight areas in this wave right here. I think I've ruined that brush for the white because it's got too many other colors in it now. Let me try to get it out. Actually, I have another one. Just remembered. Okay. So let's use the white here and let's see how this does. And as I'm tapping, I'm kind of doing a little pull of a circular pull so that I'm not getting like a straight tap. It's creating some shapes. It's maybe pulling a few little lines. If I want like straight circles, I'll tap straight down like that. But if I want some kind of shapes, then I'll sort of tap it and pull it a little bit. Okay. And I'm just trying to catch that tip of the brush right on my brightest whitewash areas. And if you're getting too much of a line, that means you've got too much paint on your brush. So if you're not able to control where it's going, you may need to wipe off all the paint and just want it on the very tip of the brush. It's the only way to really control it. And then I'm pointing that tip down, straight down at the canvas where I want it to go. And here I'm kind of pulling it to the side a little bit. Tapping and pulling. Okay. Almost to the fun part.
Okay, now I can see what you did there. So that's pretty cool. Because early on when you were doing it, the wave was very green. And
Right.
it did not look very much like the reference photo.
Mm-hmm.
But now I see using that as the background layers to help bring out the lighter colors
Right.
that you needed. So
Right.
again, I would have never saw that.
I'm going to create a little bit of that light green color that's in my wave. I've got my put out some more white here in a clean spot. I've got that Willows blender. And this is that old phthalo green. And I'm going to pull down from underneath here, soften up any areas that I think need to be a little bit brighter. Feels like that is oversaturated on that side cam, isn't it? I don't know what happened there.
So-
Add some of this
So if somebody
right
wanted,
up underneath. Yeah, go ahead.
if somebody wanted to get a hold of one of these 8x16 canvases, how would they do that?
They're in my materials list down on the Amazon store. It's not the same exact canvas. The only ones that I could find in this exact size were the canvas panels. So they're flat. They're not as raised up as this, but they're the same size. And they're in my Amazon store down. So if you click on the materials links in the Amazon store, it'll take you down to my list. And I've got all the materials that I'm using, all the paints and everything in that list. So I'm grabbing some of that turquoise color. I'm coming around the back side of this wave and just adding some of that to sort of give it This is that phthalo green with white. And I'm just sort of finding some of the areas that I feel like need a little bit more green. Grab the blue. Do a little blue here with the white coming behind this wave. Add some highlights back in here. And our last thing is going to be the highlights, so I'm just kind of trying to finish up all of this little bits so that I can do that without having to touch up anything later. It'd be really difficult to paint around the splatters, so just make sure that you save the splatters for last, and make sure that your canvas is dry also when you do your splatters, because if you make a mistake or want to change anything, you're gonna have a harder time. You might lift off something if you make a huge splatter somewhere and you go to wipe it off, it may take off other colors with it if you haven't let them dry underneath. So just let them dry for a little bit. Adding white to these whitewash areas in here. I'm going to use this Willows blender to just kind of soften up some of this. Here, blend it together a little bit. And what you can do too, once you get to this point, is you can take one of your large brushes and some glazing liquid or some water, and grab a color. In this case, I'll grab a little phthalo blue, I think, and create a wash or a glaze of that color. And then we can go over the top of some of these areas, and what it'll do is push it all back. It'll kind of unify all these colors. So if you have some colors that are just looking like they're way too prominent, or you did some highlights in an area and you just feel like it's just too much, you don't have to go back in and cover them up with other colors. You can just glaze over the top. I'm going to use this blue. See how it'll kind of unify all of that area in there? You still see the highlights, you still see the details that you put in, but you've changed it, and you've kind of created a soft sort of shadow effect in there. So let's do that a little bit on this whitewash area here. Glaze the bottom of some of these waves. And yeah, see how that sets those in? You might switch the angle there. I don't know if they can see it from the side cam. Okay. So just at the bottom of some of these, you can use this glaze, and it'll really assimilate that's a big word, but it'll assimilate that color into your painting so that they merge, create a softer or blended effect. This is definitely something that you could, if you are a beginner and you got to that point and you liked it, just leave it. You don't have to do this part. This is only if you want to take it kind of to the next level, but it's not necessary. So, but I feel like it adds just that extra little level of detail.
Okay, question asked was what color or how would you paint the sides if you were to do that?
I'd probably just continue this color around the sides, or you could just paint them black or white or something like that. I've got white here. Go over the top of this wave here, just add a little color right there so that it. Yeah, I mean, if I was paying attention, I could have, maybe. But it just takes a little bit of time. But you can go back in and try to get the same colors to go wrap around the edges a little bit. All right, I'm almost there. I'm going to add some white in here, just a little bit, just a couple places, using the edge of this brush. Oops. Okay, let's get our toothbrush. It's gonna be so fun. All right, here, let's use the fan brush. See if this
Here it
works.
comes, everybody.
Splatters.
Get the family.
It's gonna be epic. All right, so let's see how this fan brush uses. This is a new one, so I'm not sure exactly how it's gonna splatter, but we're gonna try it. So I'm gonna angle it a little bit, point the tip down where I want it to go, and there we go. If I get it real close to the canvas, I can get it to kind of do these lines for me. That's what I'm looking for. Oh, yes.
So
This is so satisfying. I don't know what it is about this.
the bristles are perpendicular to the canvas right now.
Yeah, they are. They're pointing that direction, so they're not pointing straight down. If you wanted to use a toothbrush, let me show you with the toothbrush. And you want to use a stiff bristled toothbrush, a very, very firm toothbrush. And I use my thumb and I just hold it like in my fist real close up with my thumb over the top and point it straight down at the canvas and flick with my, and this actually works. It'll actually give you smaller foam. So if you want very fine foam, use that. And then wherever you don't want your splatters to go, you can just kind of cover it up with a piece of paper or something. So if you decided you didn't want any splatters down in this area and you wanted it all kind of going up in this direction, so I might point it this way when I splatter and see how it'll kind of go in the direction where I'm pointing it. Oh, this is so awesome. I just love this so much. So I know I'm weird. This just makes me happy.
And some side cam views there to help get the look, in case nobody knows how to use a toothbrush. Hopefully that's not the case.
Some bigger splatters
Oh,
mixed
yeah.
in.
There you go. I don't want to see any waves. I just want to see white spots everywhere.
Yes. Well, really, if you look at our picture, there's a lot of splattering that's happening all along this wave.
That's right.
So,
Nature knows what it's doing.
and if you've got an area where you just like feel like you don't really like it too much, just add extra splatters there. I'm going to try to get ones going off this direction. Ooh, there we go. There we go. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to call that good. I like it. Turned out really cool.
I'm going to zoom in just a little bit and we do a little kind of just slide it back
pan
and
around.
forth.
Okay.
You don't have to.
There you go. So there's the big wave there.
Nice.
Coming around.
Very
Splashing
nice.
big splatters.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, zoom in back out.
One other thing I didn't really mention while I was doing it, but hopefully I mentioned it, I don't know. But these ones, as they get farther away, they're going to get a little bit closer together, a little bit smaller. And then these ones, as they get bigger down here, you're going to have a little bit wider gaps in between your light areas. So, let me see. I'm going to grab a little bit of this light ultramarine blue here. Just add a little bit more of it right in here. So these gaps here are going to be a little bit wider and farther apart than they are up in this area. So just because these are closer to you, so they'll be a little bit bigger and more widely spaced. All right, I'm going to call that good. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We've enjoyed bringing it to you today. And if you do this, you can share it with me on my social media. I'd love to see it. All the links to that are down in the description. Give it a thumbs up, like it, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll be back next Saturday. I think we're going to paint some irises next Saturday. So some sort of
Nice.
flower garden.
I was hoping for flowers.
I know.
It's been a while.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time. Bye.